I keep one hand on the wheel and the other near the volume knob on the dash, turning the radio down every time the signal turns into shouting. The route is simple on paper. Refrigerated food from a distribution yard outside Kansas City to a grocery warehouse near St. Louis. A normal run. A paycheck run. The kind of run I have done so many times that my body starts the lane changes before my brain finishes the thought. Right now, none of that muscle memory helps. There are too many brake lights ahead, too many shoulders packed with cars that should not be parked, and too many people standing outside their vehicles with doors open, staring down the highway in the same direction. I glance at the fuel gauge, then at the reefer display, then at the mirrors. Fuel for the tractor is decent. Fuel for the reefer is separate and lower than I want it. I have a trailer full of food that will spoil if the unit shuts down, but food is only valuable if I stay alive long enough to trade it or deliver it. Up ahead, the line of traffic tightens. It is not the slow crawl of a crash. It is a full stop spreading backward in waves. I ease off early, keeping distance. A semi in front of me has its flashers on and the driver door hanging open. No driver in sight. That makes my mouth go dry in a way that forces me to swallow just to reset my focus. On the right, a pickup is parked sideways partly in the lane, not fully blocking, just wrong enough to make every car swerve. A man in a safety vest is waving his arms, but he is not directing traffic. He is yelling at a woman who is trying to pull a child out of the back seat. The woman keeps glancing over her shoulder at something farther up the line. I cannot see it yet. The air smells hot and dusty through the vents, with a faint sour edge that does not belong on a spring day. I switch the vents to recirculate. I do not want outside air. I do not want outside anything. My Citizens Band radio spits a burst of noise and then a voice punches through, strained and fast. Barricade at the 70-mile marker. Do not push it. Do not get out. I repeat, do not get out. I reach down and turn the Citizens Band squelch, trying to clean the signal. Another voice overlaps. Older, flat, almost tired. State boys left. They left the cones and the sign and went. People are stuck. Some are walking down the lanes. Something is wrong with folks. Something is wrong. I roll forward 10 feet and stop again. I keep my doors locked. I keep the windows up. I watch the shoulders. A man jogs past between lanes, holding a crowbar. He looks into car windows as he moves, not stopping, just scanning. Behind him, another man follows with a duffel bag bouncing at his hip. That second man looks at my rig and slows. He tilts his head up at the trailer, reading the markings, refrigerated, food. His face does something small, a quick tightening around the mouth, and then he keeps moving. He does not look away until he has passed my hood. The traffic in front of me shifts. A sedan tries to use the shoulder and gets blocked by 2 cars already there. Horns pop off in short, angry bursts. I do not add mine. Every sound carries. Every sound draws eyes. I lean forward and look down the long line. Past the curve, there is a knot of stopped vehicles around an overpass. Orange barrels, a portable signboard turned sideways. 2 sport utility vehicles jammed in a way that says someone tried to build a wall with whatever was handy, then gave up. People are standing in the road near it, arguing, pointing, climbing onto bumpers to see over the top. And then I see the first one. A man, middle-aged, dress shirt soaked dark under the arms, moving down the center lane against the flow. His steps are uneven. He keeps bumping into mirrors and fenders, then correcting too late. At first I think he is drunk. Then he turns his head toward a car window and opens his mouth wide in a way that is not speech. The sound does not reach me through glass and distance, but the reaction does. The driver in that car jerks back. A passenger scrambles over the console. The car lurches forward and taps the bumper of the car ahead. The man does not flinch. He reaches for the door handle with both hands, pulls, fails, slams his shoulder into it, tries again. A woman farther up swings a tire iron. Not a clean swing, panic swing. The tire iron connects with the man's shoulder. He stumbles sideways, hits a hood, and then straightens back up, still reaching. The woman backs away until she bumps into a minivan, and then she climbs onto the hood, still holding the tire iron high. Her face is white and fixed, eyes wide and searching for somewhere to go that does not exist. My hands settle heavier on the wheel. I take a breath through my nose, slow, and force myself to work the problem in pieces. The barricade up there is not a controlled checkpoint. Nobody is running it. The state patrol is not standing there directing. That means whatever plan existed already failed. Sitting in this line is choosing to be trapped. Getting out and joining the crowd is choosing to be exposed. My sleeper cab is behind me, locked, elevated, and mine. My tractor is also mine. My trailer is an anchor that will make me a target. I need room to maneuver. I check the mirrors again. Behind me, the line is packed tight. Cars, a tanker rig, another reefer. No gaps. The shoulder is busy with people weaving between vehicles. One man has a shopping cart on an interstate. He pushes it through the narrow spaces and keeps glancing around, snapping his head left and right every few seconds, twitchy and alert. I look to my right. The grass shoulder is wide enough for my tractor if I angle carefully. Beyond it is a shallow ditch, then a frontage road running parallel to the interstate. I know this stretch. There are service roads and industrial backlanes tied to warehouses and small towns. Not safe, not clean, but not a funnel either. If I can get off the interstate before that barricade, I can keep moving. A sharp bang sounds up ahead. Not a gunshot. Metal on metal, someone ramming something. The knot of people near the barricade surges and then breaks in two directions, some running back toward my lane. A few seconds later, I see why. Two more of the staggering figures drift out from between vehicles, arms loose, heads tilting, drawn by the noise. One of them latches onto a man's sleeve. The man yanks away and stumbles backward. Another person grabs his shoulder to pull him, and the infected figure turns toward that contact with fast focus. I do not wait for the crowd to reach me. I flip on my flashers, not because anyone deserves courtesy, but because movement in a packed line can trigger stupid reactions. I ease the wheel right, creep my tractor onto the shoulder, and then commit. The right tires roll over grass. The cab rocks slightly as the suspension adjusts. I keep my speed low and steady. I do not want to spin or sink. The ditch is there, waiting. I ride the edge, holding the line by inches, watching the mirrors for anyone who decides my shoulder is his escape path. A sedan sees me move and tries to follow. The driver turns too sharply and drops a tire into the ditch. The front end noses down. The engine screams. The car jerks, then sticks. The driver door opens, and a man steps out, waving both hands at me, yelling through the glass. His mouth makes shapes that could be pleading or accusing. I do not stop. Stopping here would mean my tractor becomes another obstacle. I keep rolling, and the man's face changes again, anger taking over. He kicks his own door, and then slams it shut and starts running along the shoulder behind me. The frontage road is close. A small break in the ditch appears where a service crew built a drainage crossing. Gravel and packed dirt. I steer for it, the way I have done 100 times to reach a warehouse with a bad entrance. The tractor bumps down and up, suspension groaning. The trailer follows with a heavier sway that makes my stomach tense up. The rear wheels slap the gravel and climb. For a second, I feel the weight shift, and I picture the trailer tipping into the ditch and pinning me. It does not happen. The rig levels out, and I am on the frontage road, moving away from the interstate line. I exhale through my nose, slow again, and keep driving. The frontage road is not empty. Nothing is empty anymore. There are cars pulled onto the shoulder, hoods up, doors open, scattered luggage. A pair of people stand beside a compact car with a gas can between them, arguing with frantic hand motions. They look at my rig, step back, then step forward again, stuck between wanting help and fearing the size of me. I keep my speed at a careful crawl. My trailer is loud on this rougher pavement. The reefer hum is still there, steady, but now I can hear every rattle in the trailer hardware. I pass an exit ramp and see the interstate above me. Traffic up there is still jammed. On the overpass shoulder, 2 semis are parked nose to tail, doors open, their trailers already breached. The metal doors are bent outward, hinges strained. Boxes are scattered down the ramp. People are climbing inside, tossing cases to friends below. It looks organized for half a second. Then a woman drops a case. It bursts and cans roll across the pavement, and everyone lunges for them. No rules, no line, just grabbing. I keep going. I do not want to be near that. My trailer advertises my problem: food. I have to think the way desperate people think right now, not tomorrow, not after a night of sleep, right now. If a person sees food, a person sees a reason to take my truck. A sign for a small town flashes by. I could cut into it and hide behind buildings. That would also trap me in tighter streets with blind corners. The truck is a tool that works best with space. The sleeper is my only reliable shelter, but only if the tractor stays mobile. If I get boxed in, my locks become a countdown. Someone will eventually figure out how to break glass or pry a door. Elevation helps. It does not make me untouchable. I take the next industrial turnoff toward a cluster of warehouses and a rail spur. The road narrows. Chain link fences run along both sides. The place smells of oil and wet concrete. The sky is still bright, but the light looks wrong, smeared by haze from somewhere burning beyond the horizon. I keep my eyes on gaps, side roads, any route that lets me avoid a dead end. I see movement near a loading dock. A man in a warehouse shirt is backing away from another man who is moving too close, hands reaching, head angled forward. The warehouse man trips over a pallet and falls onto his back. The reaching man drops on top of him fast, not wrestling, not pinning, just pressing in with hungry purpose. The warehouse man kicks and twists, shoes scraping. I cannot hear anything through my cab, but I can see enough to know I want distance. I do not stop. I turn left into a yard entrance, then right immediately, weaving between parked trailers. The parked trailers create a tunnel of aluminum walls. My mirrors shrink the world into narrow slices. I thread through carefully, the way I would at a crowded truck stop. Except now every shadow between trailers feels occupied, even when it is empty. At the far end of the yard, a gate stands open. A security booth sits dark. I roll through and onto a back lane that parallels the railroad tracks. The lane is cracked and patched. Weeds push through in the middle. This is a road meant for forklifts and yard goats, not an 18-wheeler at full weight. I crawl, watching for nails, watching for debris that could slice a tire. A flat tire out here becomes a trap. I do not have time for traps. The Citizens Band radio crackles again. More voices now, overlapping, panicked, some angry, some sobbing. A dispatcher voice tries to sound in control, giving routes that no longer exist. A driver yells about people blocking ramps, about a bridge shut down, about someone setting a car on fire to stop infected from crossing. Another voice says, The infected do not care about fire. That voice sounds certain in a way that makes my hands grip tighter. I turn the citizens' band off. It is no longer information. It is noise. Noise makes mistakes. By late afternoon, I have threaded through enough industrial lanes and service roads that the interstate is a distant roar behind me. I keep moving east, using signs when I can, using memory when signs are missing or spray painted over. Twice I see barricades built from dumpsters and pallets at the entrances to small neighborhoods. People stand behind them with baseball bats and hunting rifles, faces hard, eyes tracking my rig. I do not slow there. I do not wave. I keep a steady pace and pass through without inviting contact. The first real decision hits when I realize I cannot keep the reefer running at full cold. The trailer fuel will not last. I can shut it down and lose the load, or I can run it in cycles and hope the insulation buys me time. The food inside is not my dinner. It is my leverage. It is also the reason someone will shoot me. I decide to keep it cold enough to slow spoilage, but not perfect. I adjust the reefer to a higher set point and set it to cycle. The hum changes, less constant. That small change feels dangerous, even though it is the smarter move. I need my own fuel plan too. The interstate fuel stops are going to be crowded, looted, fought over. Even if a station has diesel, it will have people. People are the unpredictable part. Diesel itself is simple. Diesel is only a problem when someone is willing to hurt you for it. I pass a small trucking yard at the edge of a town, a place with older rigs parked behind a fence. The gate is open. That means someone already went in. That also means there could be fuel in tanks, and it means there could be infected inside the cabs. I circle once, slow, staying on the road, scanning. No movement obvious. No groups. I choose it anyway. I turn in and line up my rig so the tractor faces back toward the exit. I do not want to back out under pressure. I roll to a stop near a row of parked semis. I set the brake. I sit still for 3 full breaths, hands off the wheel, eyes sweeping the mirrors and the gaps between trucks. When I open my door, the outside air hits different. Not temperature, not smell. The absence of normal noise. No traffic rhythm. No distant lawnmowers. No birds I can place. Just wind moving through metal and chain link. And somewhere far away, a siren that has been stuck on one note for too long. I climb down fast and keep my body close to the tractor, using it as cover. I carry a small tool bag and a hand pump with a hose, the kind drivers use when they have to transfer diesel without power. It is not a fancy setup. It is slow, it is manual, it is work, but it does not require a station to be open. I pop my own fuel cap and check my level again. Enough for now, but not enough to relax. I approach the nearest parked rig. The cab door is open a crack. That is bad. I do not grab it. I take the end of my tire thumper from my belt and nudge the door edge. It swings wider with a slow creak. Nothing moves inside. I step back anyway and watch the sleeper opening. No figure sits up. No hand reaches. I lean forward and look. The driver's seat is empty. The bunk is empty. A half-eaten sandwich sits on the dash, dried at the edges. That tells me the driver left in a rush. I move to the fuel tank and kneel, keeping my head up. I fit the hand pump hose into the tank opening and start working the handle. The first few strokes are empty, then diesel slides through the clear section of hose, dark and steady. The smell rises immediately, sharp and familiar. I keep pumping, counting strokes to keep my pace even. Every stroke is time spent outside my locked shelter. Every stroke is also fuel that buys me more distance from crowds. A clatter sounds somewhere deeper in the yard. Metal on metal, not wind. Wind does not do that. I freeze with the pump handle halfway down. I listen, eyes locked on the spaces between trucks. The clatter repeats, then stops. I do not see movement, but I hear a slow, dragging sound. Shoe on gravel, off rhythm. My skin prickles along my arms, and my hands tighten around the pump handle until my knuckles look pale. I slide the pump out of the other rig's tank and cap it quickly. I leave whatever diesel is still in the hose. Waste is better than getting caught. I back away to my tractor, keeping my eyes on the gaps. The dragging sound moves closer, then stops again. I climb into my cab fast, shut the door, and lock it, even though I know it locked already. My hands go to the window controls, and I keep the glass up. I start the engine and let it idle, listening for any impact against the cab. Nothing hits, nothing scratches. The yard stays still. The sound I heard might have been a loose trailer latch swinging. It might have been a person. It might have been infected. I do not get certainty. I get a lesson. Outside time needs to be short and purposeful. I pull out of the yard and get back to moving before my nerves convince me to stay and hoard fuel until someone finds me. The roads closer to town are worse. Abandoned cars block turns. A school bus sits skewed across an intersection. Doors open, backpacks scattered on the sidewalk. I do not stop to look inside. I take the long way around, using alley-width lanes behind a strip mall, then cutting through the back of a manufacturing park where the lights are off and the loading bays are open. At one point, a man steps into the road ahead of me and raises both hands. He is in work boots and jeans, sweating through his shirt, and he is holding a pistol low at his side. Not pointed yet. His eyes flick up to my trailer, then back to my windshield. He mouths something I cannot hear. He gestures, palm down, telling me to slow. I do slow, but I do not stop. I keep rolling, crawling speed, watching his shoulders and his grip. A second person appears behind him, a woman with a backpack and a metal pipe. She points at my trailer and then points to a side lot, trying to direct me off the road. A third person steps out, younger, holding a baseball bat. The setup is clear now. They want the load. They might want the tractor too. I am not donating either. I keep my face neutral and shake my head once. The man with the pistol steps closer and raises it, not fully aiming, but enough. I do not negotiate. I bring my right foot down and the diesel torque answers. The rig surges forward in a controlled push. The man jumps back, eyes wide. The woman yanks him by the arm. The kid with the bat takes one step forward, then freezes when the grill fills his vision. I drive through the gap they leave, and the mirror shows them turning to chase for a few seconds until they realize what chasing a semi looks like. I do not feel relief. I feel the new rule settle in. Humans are now a bigger problem than the infected in any place with resources. When dusk starts to fall, I pick a spot to stop that is not obvious from the main roads. A closed agricultural supply yard sits behind a line of trees. The entrance gate is wide enough, and the pad inside is gravel. I pull in, close the gate behind me using the tractor bumper to nudge it, and park with my nose toward the exit. I shut down the engine and listen. The reefer cycles on for a while, then off, then on again. Each time it starts, I flinch, expecting the sound to bring someone. Nobody comes. Inside the sleeper, the space is small and familiar. That familiarity matters more than comfort. I keep essentials in set places. Water jug under the bunk, a bag of food I packed for myself in case I got stranded. Crackers, peanut butter, canned beans, a few protein bars, a small first aid kit, a flashlight, spare batteries, a folding knife, a roll of duct tape. All the boring stuff that feels pointless until the day it becomes the only plan. I wipe my hands with a shop towel, then wipe the steering wheel, then the door handle. Not because I think germs are the biggest threat, but because grime makes me sloppy. Sloppy makes me miss details. I crack the sleeper curtain slightly so I can see the lot through the gap. The yard outside is darkening. A distant glow flickers low on the horizon. Fire somewhere. I do not know what is burning. I do not want to know. I eat without turning on the cab lights. The food tastes flat because my mouth is dry and my attention keeps jumping. I drink water in small sips to make it last. I check my phone. No service. I check again out of habit. Still nothing. I set it down and force myself to plan the morning route using what I know of the area. I need to keep east, but I need to avoid the big crossings where people will bottleneck. There is a river ahead. There are only so many bridges that can handle a loaded semi. That means sooner or later I have to commit to one. Bridges will become traps if crowds build there. I sleep in short stretches, not deep, waking whenever the reefer kicks on or when wind shakes the gate. Each time I wake, I sit up and listen, then check the mirrors through the curtain gap. Nothing changes. That almost feels worse. Quiet can mean empty. Quiet can also mean something waiting. Morning comes gray and thin. I start the tractor, let the air pressure build, and roll out before full daylight brings more eyes. I keep to back roads until the pavement turns to patched county highway. The first town I skirt has a line of cars at a closed gas station. People standing in a cluster around the door, banging on it. A man sees my rig and points. Several heads turn. I keep moving, pretending I do not notice. 10 miles later, I pass a rest area. It looks torn open. Cars are parked crooked. Trash is everywhere. A pickup sits near the bathroom building with a door hanging. The bathroom door is propped open with a rock. I see no people moving, but I see signs of people being there recently. I do not pull in. Rest areas are where desperate drivers and desperate families collide. That is where small arguments turn into violence. On a straight stretch of road, I see a tractor without a trailer parked on the shoulder, hood up. A man stands beside it, waving both arms. He looks older, cap pulled low, face lined. He points to his tank, then points at my rig, then presses his hands together in a pleading gesture. I do not stop. Not fully. I slow enough to get a read. His stance is not aggressive. His eyes track my cab, not my trailer. He is alone. No other figures step out from the ditch. Still, I do not stop. I roll past, watching the mirror. The man drops his arms and stays in place, not chasing. That makes me feel worse than if he had tried to force it. I tell myself that stopping for one person becomes a pattern, and patterns get you killed. I keep driving. The guilt does not change my speed. It just sits in my throat as dead weight. By late morning, I reach the edge of a larger town, and I see the first official barricade that looks intentional. Concrete blocks, a Department of Transportation truck parked sideways, a message board that reads "Road closed" in big letters. No officers, no workers, just the blocks. Someone has spray painted "Keep Out" across the blocks, and beneath it, in smaller letters, "Dead Inside." I turn off before the barricade and take a service road behind a shopping center. Delivery lanes, dumpsters, broken glass. The smell here is old food and spilled fryer grease. I pass a grocery store with the front windows smashed. Shopping carts are scattered in the lot. A few figures move near the entrance, slow and wandering, heads turning without purpose. Infected. I keep my windows up and do not stare. Staring makes drivers slow. Slow makes noise. Noise invites attention. My route bends toward the river. I cannot avoid it forever. The map in my head offers two bridges that can handle my weight. One is on the main highway. The other is a state route bridge farther south, narrower, older, with fewer lanes. Fewer lanes means fewer options if something blocks it. It also means fewer people might choose it. I pick the state route bridge. The approach road is lined with trees and then opens to a long straight where the bridge rises ahead, steel trusses cutting into the sky. Half a mile before the bridge, traffic is stalled. Not as dense as the interstate was, but enough. Cars are stopped at odd angles. A box truck sits sideways partly across one lane. People stand near the front of the line, arguing, pointing toward the bridge deck. I roll to a stop far back and watch. On the bridge itself, a cluster of abandoned vehicles blocks the center span. A car is perched with one wheel over the edge, held in place by the guardrail. A van sits behind it, door open. The scene looks frozen, but then I see movement between the vehicles. Infected drift on the bridge deck, drawn by the people gathered near the entrance. The living crowd is keeping distance, too afraid to push forward, too afraid to leave and lose the crossing. This is the trap I feared. A bottleneck with infected in the middle and people on both sides. If I try to push through the blocked vehicles, I risk getting stuck on the bridge with nowhere to turn. If I wait, more people will arrive, and the risk rises every minute. I need the bridge clear enough for me to commit. I do not need it perfect. I need a window. I scan the area around the approach. There is a gravel maintenance lane that runs down toward the riverbank, probably for inspections. It is too narrow and steep for my rig. There is no alternate crossing nearby. I look at the infected on the bridge. They are drawn to movement and noise. That is consistent from everything I have seen. They drift toward the living, not strategizing, just pulled. I do not want to use my horn. The horn is a beacon. It will pull infected, and it will pull humans. Humans will hear a semi-horn and think opportunity. Still, I have one move that can change the flow on that bridge without me getting out. I ease my rig forward until I am close enough that the crowd can see me clearly. Heads turn. People point at my trailer. A man waves both arms, trying to flag me down. I do not engage. I keep rolling past the last few cars stopped on the shoulder, then angle my tractor slightly so my hood points toward the open lane leading to the bridge entrance. I keep my brakes held. I watch the infected on the bridge. A few of them are facing this direction already, swaying and stepping. I take my right hand and place it on the horn pad. I do not press yet. I look left and right in the mirrors and through the windshield, checking for anyone sprinting toward my door. The closest people are 30 yards away, still clustered near their cars. They are not approaching. Not yet. I press the horn once and hold it long, then release. The sound punches the air and rolls across the river. It is loud enough that my cab vibrates. The crowd flinches. A few people cover their ears. On the bridge, every infected head turns. Several of them start moving toward the sound in a staggered line, drifting away from the center cluster of vehicles and toward the entrance side. That is not what I want. I want them away from my path, not toward me. So I move. The moment the horn ends, I roll forward 10 yards and then cut my wheel hard to the right, swinging my tractor into a wide gravel turnout near the approach, a space meant for maintenance vehicles. I keep moving, turning the rig so the horn source shifts location. Then I hit the horn again, another long blast, pointing the sound downriver, away from the bridge deck center line. The infected respond, turning and following the new direction. Their movement is slow but committed. The crowd near the bridge entrance reacts too. A man shouts and points at me, then points at the bridge, understanding. A couple of people sprint for their cars, deciding this is the moment. That is dangerous. Cars rushing in can block me. I stop using the horn. The rule is one tool, one purpose. I cannot keep blasting and hope it stays controlled. The infected are now bunched closer to the right side of the entrance span, drifting toward the gravel area where my rig sits angled. That buys me a thin window on the left side of the approach, where the lane is clearer. I straighten my tractor, swing back toward the road, and commit. I pull out fast enough to claim space, slow enough to keep traction. The first few cars near the front are still stopped, drivers frozen. I edge past them, using the center line. A man stands in the lane with his hands up, yelling at me to stop. I do not. He scrambles out of the way at the last second. I hit the bridge entrance with my wheels aligned and my eyes locked on the path. The infected are off to my right, drawn toward where my horn last sounded. One of them turns toward my cab as I pass, reaching. It cannot touch me. The railing and distance keep it short. I keep my speed steady, not fast, not slow. Fast invites mistakes. Slow invites contact. Halfway onto the bridge, I see the blockage ahead. Abandoned vehicles in a messy cluster. This is the real hazard. I need to thread through. I choose the left side where a gap exists between a sedan and the guardrail. It is tight. I adjust the wheel by inches, watching my mirror clearance. The trailer follows with less precision than the tractor. I feel the rear wheels drift closer to the rail, and I correct gently. No sudden moves. Metal scrapes once, a light kiss of trailer against guardrail. The sound makes my shoulders stiffen. I keep going. I clear the gap. The bridge opens ahead for a few vehicle lengths and then another cluster appears. But that one has more room. I thread through again. Infected drift between the cars, bumping doors, dragging hands along metal. One slaps a side mirror and the mirror snaps backward. The impact is dull, not hard enough to break. I do not look at it. I keep my eyes forward. By the time my trailer clears the last abandoned car, I am on the far half of the bridge with open pavement ahead. I do not relax. I keep moving until the far end, then off the bridge entirely, then another quarter-mile beyond, where I finally have space to pull onto a wide shoulder and breathe through my nose again without tasting panic. That horn saved me, and it also told anyone within miles that a loaded semi just crossed. I am now a moving prize. I push east into more rural roads, choosing routes that run behind factories and along drainage canals and through empty industrial parks. I stop once in a hidden corner behind a closed equipment rental yard to check my fuel and add what I siphoned earlier. The hand pump work is slower now because my hands keep shaking when I am outside. Not from fear in words, but from my body trying to rush every action. I force myself to slow down, to seat the hose properly, to cap everything tightly, to wipe spills. Diesel on boots becomes a smell trail. Diesel on hands becomes slippery grip. Later that day, I see the consequence of my bridge move. A pickup appears behind me on a long straight, following at a steady distance. Not passing, not turning off. It stays there for miles. I cannot see into it well, but I can tell the driver is intentional. The truck keeps to the same lane position, the same pace, never drifting. A normal driver would pass or fall back. This one is shadowing. I do not speed up. Speeding burns fuel and creates risk. I also do not brake check. That creates a crash, and a crash creates a crowd. Instead, I start making decisions that test the follower. I take a right turn into an industrial access road that leads toward a cluster of grain silos. If the pickup is just traveling the same way, it will continue straight. The pickup turns with me. I take a left into a narrower lane that dead ends at a gated facility. The pickup still follows, staying back. That means the driver is not afraid of dead ends because the driver expects me to stop or be blocked. I do not give the driver that. Before the gate, I swing into a wide gravel apron and loop around, using my tractor's turning radius the way I have practiced 1,000 times. The trailer follows, tires crunching. Dust rises. The pickup slows, uncertain, then stops. The driver door opens. A man steps out, one hand near his waistband. I do not wait for him to speak. I complete the loop and bring my grill to face him. Not touching, just facing. The man freezes, then steps back toward his truck. I see his eyes flick to my trailer latch and then to my cab window. He is evaluating. He is calculating risk. I roll forward slowly, forcing him to retreat without contact. He gets back into his pickup, slams the door, and pulls a wide turn to get out of my way. He leaves without chasing again. That does not mean he is done. It means he decided this spot was not favorable. By evening, I pick another hidden place to stop, this time behind a row of empty freight containers near a rail yard. I keep the reefer cycling. I keep the cab dark. I do not open my doors unless I have to. I pee into a wide-mouth bottle and cap it, because stepping outside for that is not worth it. I wipe down surfaces again. I eat again. The taste is still flat. In the night, I hear voices, not close enough to understand, close enough to know a group is moving through the area, footsteps on gravel, a laugh that sounds forced, a cough, a metal clink. I do not move. I do not shift in the bunk. I keep my eyes on the mirror angle where I can see the gap between containers. A flashlight beam sweeps across the ground, then across the side of my trailer, then away. The beam returns and pauses on the reefer unit. Someone is checking. I keep still. The locks hold. The elevation hides me behind my own trailer line. The beam moves on. The voices fade. I do not sleep after that. I sit and watch until the first gray line of dawn shows through the windshield. Morning brings a new problem. My reefer fuel is lower. My tractor fuel is lower. My siphoned stash is not infinite, and every yard I enter increases the risk of surprise. I need a better source. I need a place with multiple parked rigs where I can pull small amounts from several tanks without draining one fully. Draining one fully leaves a clue. A half-empty tank looks normal. A dry tank looks robbed. I find a truck stop off a state highway that is half deserted. The sign is still lit, flickering. The lot is scattered with abandoned vehicles and a few semis parked at odd angles. The store windows are broken. The diesel pumps are dark. No power, no easy fuel. Still, parked rigs mean tanks. I do not pull into the main lot. I circle behind, using the service lane where trash pickup trucks would go. I park with my tractor angled out and my trailer close to the building wall, limiting access to my rear doors. I shut down and listen. No movement. Wind flaps a torn poster. A shopping bag skitters across pavement. I take the hand pump and tool bag and step out, keeping my head on a swivel. The smell here is stale gasoline and old fryer oil, mixed with something sour from the dumpsters. I move fast to the nearest parked semi. The door is closed. Good. I check the tank cap. It is locked with a cheap hasp. I do not waste time on it. I move to the next. Tank cap is exposed. I slide the hose in and pump, counting strokes, watching my surroundings between every set of 10. I hear a faint shuffle from the store side. I freeze, pump handle in hand. The shuffle repeats. Then a figure appears around the corner of the building, stepping into view. A woman, early 30s maybe, hair tied back messy, wearing a reflective vest that could be from a road crew. She holds a small kitchen knife in one hand, not raised, just held. Her eyes lock on me. Her stance is tense but not charging. She speaks first, voice low and tight. Do not run me over. I keep my hands visible, one still on the pump handle, not planning to. She glances at my trailer, then at the pump, then at my cab door. Are you alone? Yes, I say. I do not add details. Details are currency. She shifts her weight, keeping distance. I need a ride out. Just to the next town. My car is dead. This is the moment where stories usually turn into speeches. I do not have room for speeches. I have room for decisions. Taking a stranger into my sleeper is inviting an unknown into my only locked space. Leaving her here might mean she dies. Helping her might mean I die. I look past her toward the store corner again. Is anyone else here? She shakes her head once. No, just me. I was hiding. I heard your pump. That is honest enough. Also alarming. Noise carries. I make a compromise that still makes my stomach twist. You can sit in the passenger seat. No sleeper. Hands visible. No surprises. If that does not work, walk away now. Her eyes narrow, then she nods. Fair. I finish pumping fast, cap the tank, wipe the hose, and get back into my cab. I keep my door locked until I see her step back and place the knife on the ground and nudge it away with her boot. Then I unlock the passenger door with the switch and watch her climb in, slow, careful, not rushing. She keeps her hands on her knees once seated. She smells of sweat and stale smoke. I do not ask her life story. I ask one thing that matters. Do you have anything on you that will get me killed? She gives a short, humorless breath. No, just fear. I start the engine and roll out of the truck stop, not going back the way I came. I take the back service lane, then a side road, then another side road, switching routes to shake anyone watching. The woman stays quiet except to point once when I miss a turn toward a county road. She says her name once. I do not repeat it. Names create attachment. Attachment creates mistakes. An hour later, we hit a stretch where the road passes a line of stopped vehicles. A small crowd stands near the front, clustered around a sedan with an open trunk. The crowd is not calm. Hands wave. Bodies press close. I slow, scanning for infected. I see two infected figures near the ditch, swaying and drifting toward the sound of voices. The crowd does not notice, or does not care. The woman in my passenger seat shifts, eyes fixed on the crowd. Her hands clench on her jeans. She does not say anything. She does not need to. That crowd will see my trailer and assume salvation, and then it will turn into grabbing. And then someone will pull a weapon, and then I will be trapped. I turn onto the shoulder and ease around the stopped line, keeping distance. A man runs toward me, waving both arms, shouting. I cannot hear through glass, but his mouth is wide, his face twisted. Another person follows, then another. The group begins moving as one. I do not stop. I roll past, then accelerate once clear. In the mirror, I see the infected drift toward the crowd, drawn by its movement. The crowd scatters, some sprinting toward the ditch, some toward their cars, some just spinning in confusion. The woman in the passenger seat turns her face away from the window. She presses her forehead to the glass for a second, then sits back. Her jaw is tight. No tears, no speech. Just the body language of someone forcing herself not to break. We reach a small town edge by mid-afternoon. The main street is blocked by a burned-out vehicle. Smoke stains on buildings. A few people move behind storefront windows, watching. Not waving, not calling for help. Watching. I do not drive into the center. I stop near the edge by an industrial lot and point through the windshield. That is where I can drop you. I am not going deeper. She nods once, then hesitates. Do you have water? I hand her a sealed bottle from my stash without thinking too long. Thinking too long becomes cruelty. She takes it with both hands, then looks at me. You have food back there. Yes. People will kill you for it. I know. She opens the door, then pauses. Thank you. I do not answer with something soft. Soft invites more. I just nod once. She steps out, closes the door gently, and walks away without looking back. That restraint tells me she meant what she said about being alone. She could have screamed. She could have pointed at my trailer and shouted to the town. She did not. That buys her a fraction of respect in my mind, which is all I have left to give. I drive out before the town can decide what my rig is worth. The next days blur into a routine built from movement and small calculations. Drive early. Stop only where I can see every approach. Siphon diesel in short bursts from parked rigs, never staying long. Keep the reefer cycling, not constant. Keep the cab dark at night. Park with the trailer blocking access to the doors. Never leave the tractor facing a wall. Never let the fuel drop below a point where I cannot detour for hours. Infected become a background hazard in some places, a sudden wall in others. Sometimes they drift alone along a fence line, hands brushing wire. Sometimes they mass near a noise source, a car alarm that no one shut off, a generator someone forgot running. Once I see a group clustered around a wrecked ambulance. The doors are open and the inside looks torn apart. I do not stop to see what happened. The pattern is obvious enough. Humans remain the sharper edge. A pair of trucks tries to block a county road one afternoon. 2 pickups angled across the lane. Men stand near them with rifles, faces hidden behind bandanas. They wave me down. I slow, then stop far back, out of rifle easy range if their aim is poor. I sit with my hands on the wheel and my eyes on their stance. One man steps forward and points toward the ditch, signaling me to pull over. I do not comply. I put my rig in reverse and back up slowly, keeping the trailer straight. The men start walking toward me faster. I keep backing until I have enough room to swing into a side farm lane. The men shout and raise their rifles. I do not wait to see if they fire. I turn off hard, tires crunching gravel, and disappear down the lane behind a line of trees. Later, I hear distant shots, scattered, not close. The men might have been firing at infected. The men might have been firing at someone else. Either way, I am gone. I start trading, not directly, not openly. I leave small offerings where people can take them without seeing me. A case of bottled water placed behind a dumpster near a barricaded neighborhood. A box of snack packs left near a church side door. I do it because it reduces the load in my trailer, which reduces what I lose if the trailer gets taken, and because guilt is a quiet poison that builds if you never let any out. I do not announce it. I do not wait for thanks. I leave and keep moving. Fuel remains the hard limit. Every detour costs diesel. Every idle minute costs diesel. Even the reefer costs fuel. I find myself thinking about diesel constantly, not obsessing in words, but checking gauges more often, choosing routes based on hills and stops, avoiding heavy acceleration. I shut the tractor down whenever I can. I restart it only when ready to move. The battery becomes another limit. I keep an eye on voltage. I keep my lights off whenever possible. One afternoon, I pull into a large abandoned freight lot that holds dozens of trailers. Some are open and empty. Some are torn open and half full of ruined goods. I find a refrigerated trailer that looks intact, but silent. I park near it and check it from my cab first. No movement. No figures. I step out and climb onto the catwalk between tractor and trailer to look down into the gap. The other reefer unit is off. Its fuel cap is still on. That means fuel might still be inside. I move fast, pump in hand, eyes scanning. I pull diesel from that reefer tank and pour it into my own reefer tank through a funnel. The work is messy and slow. The smell clings to everything. I keep going until I have raised the level enough to breathe easier. When I finish, I wipe the funnel and hose. Then I look down at my hands and realize they are shaking harder now, not from cold, but from the pressure of doing this outside, exposed, with no one watching my back. I climb into my cab and lock the door and sit still for a full minute, letting my eyes sweep the lot again, forcing my mind to settle back into decision mode. The last major push comes when the roads ahead turn worse, not because of infected, but because of collapse. A section of highway is blocked by multiple wrecks and a burned tanker. The heat damage has warped the asphalt. I cannot drive through. I have to route around on smaller roads that cut through farmland and small towns. Smaller roads mean tighter turns. Tight turns mean slower speed. Slower speed means people can chase, can block, can set ambushes. I thread through anyway. At one point, I have to cross a narrow 2-lane bridge over a creek. Not the big river bridge, a smaller one, still a choke point. I approach slow and see fresh debris on the bridge deck. Broken boards, a shattered cooler, a shoe. A shoe alone on a bridge is never a good sign. I stop before the bridge and watch. Movement flickers under the bridge rail. A figure stands up from behind the guardrail. A man with a hat and a shotgun, eyes bright and hungry. Another man rises beside him. Then a third. They were crouched out of sight, waiting. The first man points his shotgun at my cab and gestures toward my trailer doors, signaling me to back up or open. This is not a negotiation. This is a theft with a weapon. I look at the space behind me. The road is narrow. Trees line it. Backing up would take time and would expose my trailer to being blocked by a vehicle I cannot see. The men on the bridge are close enough that a shotgun blast could reach my windshield. I do not want to test how much glass holds. I choose force without collision. I drop the truck into gear and roll forward, not fast, steady, claiming the bridge approach. The man with the shotgun stiffens. He steps forward and raises the barrel higher. The other two men spread out, one moving toward the center line, possibly to aim for my tires. I keep rolling. The grill fills their view. The men hesitate in the way humans always do when faced with a mass that can crush them without trying. The shotgun man steps back, eyes wide, then jumps sideways toward the rail. I do not swerve. I keep straight. The second man scrambles back too. The third man tries to stand his ground for half a second longer, then turns and runs toward the far side of the bridge. A shotgun booms. The sound slams into my cab. A spiderweb crack blooms on the lower corner of my windshield. Pellets ping off the hood. No penetration. The crack is ugly, but it holds. I keep rolling, crossing onto the bridge deck. The men are now off to the sides, not in front. I am through their kill zone. On the far side, I do not stop. I push speed as much as the narrow road allows, putting distance between me and the bridge. In the mirror, I see the men regrouping, one raising the shotgun again, but they do not chase on foot. If they have a vehicle nearby, they might. I start making turns at every opportunity, choosing routes that favor my size and punish small, fast vehicles with dead ends and narrow gates. Hours later, when I finally stop in a secluded industrial cul-de-sac, I get out and inspect the windshield crack. It looks stable. I tape it from the inside with clear packing tape and duct tape, creating a rough patch that might keep it from spreading. The tape job is not pretty. It is functional. Functional is the only category left that matters. I sit back in the driver's seat and stare at my trailer door handles in the mirror. The trailer is still mine. The sleeper is still mine. My fuel is lower again. My nerves are raw. My hands smell faintly of diesel no matter how many times I wipe them. I think about delivering the load the way I was paid to do. That world is gone. Warehouses are either empty, locked, or turned into battlegrounds. The food in my trailer is no longer freight. It is a liability and a lifeline and a beacon. I decide to start shedding it more deliberately, not all at once, but in trades that keep me moving. I find a small fenced community a day later, a dozen houses with a barricade made from farm equipment. People watch from behind it with wary eyes and weapons held low. I stop far back, stay inside, and hold up a cardboard sign through my windshield that says, "Food for diesel." No speeches, no promises, no begging. A man approaches after a long minute, cautious, carrying a red diesel can. He stays outside my door range and gestures for me to toss something first. I consider refusing on principle, then discard the principle. Pride is expensive. I pop the trailer latch slightly, just enough to slide out a sealed case of shelf-stable items without exposing the whole load. I push it to the ground with a long pole I keep for cargo checks. The man drags it back, then sets the diesel can down and steps away. I get out, fast, eyes scanning, pour the diesel into my tank, and get back in. The community does not rush me. That restraint is rare. I slide another case out and leave it, then drive away without lingering. The deal is clean. Clean deals are the only ones worth risking. Days later, the trailer is lighter. The reefer runs less. My rig handles better on rough roads. I still do not feel safe. Safe does not exist on roads that no longer have rules. Still, the sleeper cab remains what it has been since the first barricades went up. A locked box on wheels with just enough space to keep a man alive if he stays disciplined. On the last evening of this stretch, I park on a high gravel lot overlooking a stretch of empty highway. The interstate below is silent except for wind. A few vehicles sit abandoned on the shoulder, doors open, caught mid-decision. Far in the distance, a small group of infected drifts along the median, slow and aimless. No crowds, no gunshots, no voices, just space. I sit in the driver's seat with the engine off and the reefer cycling quietly. I check my fuel. Enough for another day if I stay careful. I check my water. Enough if I keep rationing. I check my mirrors one more time, then pull the sleeper curtain closed enough to narrow the world. I do not tell myself I will be fine. I do not promise anything. I just lay down in the narrow bunk, boots still on, keys within reach, door locks checked twice, and I keep my life small and controlled, 1 mile at a time, because roads are no longer safe, and the only plan that still works is movement without noise.